Alright guys, I am back for a part 2. So, in part 1, we discussed some games, a couple of older 7th gen games, and we also discussed the problems that I had with The Last of Us. Not necessarily getting too much in detail, I'm a little bit more meta with it, but, I'm just talking about overall what I dislike about the game. And like I said in the previous video, it just caters to a mediocre modern day cinematic standard. That's ultimately the gist of the video. The game is not good by gameplay innovation. It's not, well, let me rephrase my words there. It's not in any way innovating gameplay. It's not in any way innovating storytelling in video games. Because Metal Gear Solid already did storytelling in video games better than The Last of Us. Hell, visual novels did storytelling in video games better. Visual novels innovate storytelling in video games much more than The Last of Us does. And I have 2 visual novels here. One from a series that I love dearly, and one from another series that I only played one game in, but I also have the other 2 games in 999 and Zero Time Dilemma. So I'm going to be discussing that as well. Okay, so let's get into this video here. I have 2 games here. Let me take this one out of the case because I want you guys to actually see this one. I have 2 games here. This one here is called, you might not be able to see it, gotta put it too closer to the camera. But this one is Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony. Now this is the 4th installment actually, in the Danganronpa series by Spike Chunsoft. Okay, this game here is, let me show it. Maybe the camera, I don't know if it's gonna focus. The camera's pretty. This is a phone camera, so it doesn't have the best quality, unfortunately. So just getting the job done for now. But yeah, this is Zero Escape's Virtue's Last Reward. Okay, for the Vita and 3DS, and I think it's also on Steam or whatever. Those 2 games from their respective series. Especially, let's just talk about Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward first. Zero Escape Virtue's Last Reward is one of the greatest video game stories that I've ever experienced on a game. Holy shit, was that game story amazing. And it blows anything that Naughty Dog and The Last of Us can even create out of their uncreative fucking minds. The game puts you on twists and turns and suspense like no other. Not only that, but it has great puzzle. If you've ever played the Resident Evil games and you've played the puzzles on there, that's what the puzzles are on Zero Escape. Because Resident Evil was inspired by like escape games and stuff like that. But yeah, Zero Escape. Wow, I spent about maybe 50 plus hours, more time than I can ever spend on The Last of Us. About 50 plus hours playing the game. And getting all the endings, playing through the various branching timelines, the story that's inspired by quantum physics, the just mind-blowing twist, the well-written dialogue, well-written stories, just blow anything out of what The Last of Us and Naughty Dog could create as a story. And it's a shame that people don't talk about games like Zero Escape. You're telling me The Last of Us, a game that we've seen time and time again in the modern AAA market. Nothing new, nothing innovative, nothing unique, very standard, very subpar gameplay at best. You're telling me that is better than Zero Escape? Let's just talk about the story, which is what everybody talks about with the game. the story is something that's going to enhance your mind to a point where you're not even going to see anything coming. You know? It's not going to be predictable. It's not going to be adhering to the mediocre standards of modern AAA gaming. This is going to give you a story that only video games can do. Zero Escape I'm talking about. And the story is brilliantly created and crafted. One of the best stories I've ever played through. Please, if you don't have it, it's on Steam. It's on Vita, which is my preferred platform to play it on. I know you can't see it right because the camera is fucked up, whatever. It's also on the PS4 as well in the Nonari Games collection. And the Vita also has a Nonari Games collection that comes with both Zero Escape, and it also comes with Zero Time Dilemma. No, not Zero Time Dilemma. It comes with 999 and Zero Escape, which is a good start before you get Zero Time Dilemma. But yeah, man, overall, that game pushes video game storytelling more than The Last of Us can ever push it. Just even average fucking games. I mean, like I told you before, Dead Space with the lore and the suspense and the horror that game has tells a better story than the fucking Last of Us. Come on, man. Even just normal games like Dead Space. You know? This is ridiculous how overrated that game is. But next up, I also have this game as well, the Danganronpa series. Now, this is the third installment. I also have the collection for PS4, but this is the third installment. Now, these are some of my favorite games this generation. Not only do they have very fun class trials that you go through, I don't want to spoil anything about these games because it's going to spoil your enjoyment very much so. I'm not going to spoil anything of these games whatsoever, so you don't have to worry about that. But when it comes to these games here, these are some of my favorite games this generation. Danganronpa 1, 2, Ultra Despair Girls, and Danganronpa V3, which is actually Danganronpa 4 technically, but whatever. Man, I'm telling you, the story in these games are going to be... They're going to be enticing you to want to look up lore, which that really is the test of having a great video game story, is the lore. Being invested in lore, looking up the lore, and enjoying the lore to a degree that it basically becomes a part of your life, you know? Not necessarily a part of your life. It could do that. It can have that effect, but it's so interesting that it just becomes second nature when it comes to enjoying the story. You know, it's almost like you're reading into a mythology, which is what a video game story is partly supposed to do. It's supposed to leave an impression on you. The Last of Us didn't leave an impression on me, other than the fact that it just did the same thing that any average AAA game can do. They didn't even give me a unique, innovative form of storytelling like Danganronpa and Zero Escape did. And like another game did as well. And this game right here shows another point that I'm going to bring up. Dark Souls. Dark Souls shows how storytelling could be done in video games. At least on one level, it's how it should be done. This game, I love the way how the story is told on the Dark Souls games. I love the way how the story is told on these games here. I love how the lore is intertwined with the gameplay, and the story is intertwined with the gameplay and the lore to create this mysterious kind of like scavenger story that you gotta kind of like piece things together, and you have to play the game multiple times to really get everything. And it tells the story through gameplay and through symbolism rather than through presentation and cutscenes. I really love that about the Dark Souls games. Those games right there, the game I just showed you, is a plain passing. Alright, but those games that I just showed you definitely are how I think video game stories should be conducted. Going into my point that I was going to bring up is when it comes to a video game story is not supposed to be, it's not supposed to feel far removed from the gameplay. A video game story is supposed to be, it's supposed to be intertwined with the gameplay. So your video game story is supposed to, you're supposed to be playing the game in tandem with its story. So a story is defined by the gameplay, not the other way around. You look at a lot of these modern games, the gameplay is subpar at best, bad, it's shitty, it's terrible. And then the story is a thing that oftentimes reigns supreme. You know? The story is the thing that oftentimes reigns supreme, but the actual gameplay is not ever tested. It's just, okay, yeah, the gameplay, but the story in the cutscenes and presentation is what oftentimes praised nowadays, and I don't like the fact that it's like that. It's not like how it actually should be. The story and the gameplay should be vibing off of each other. A lot of these games, the gameplay feels far removed from the story, and the story feels removed from the gameplay. They're supposed to be one with each other. When I'm playing The Last of Us, I feel like the game is removed from the story. And I'm watching the story, and my thoughts of the game is gone. When I'm playing the game, I'm like, this doesn't feel in any way connected to the way how the story is being told. I feel like I'm playing two separate games. So that's not the way how a video game story should be handled, in my opinion. So, yeah, it's, I don't understand. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get how this game is better than Crash, how this game is better than Jack, how this game is better than shit, any game out there. How does this game win over other games? I just don't understand it. I don't understand it. It's mind-boggling to me. And, you know, for my last point, I'm going to bring up a game that I enjoyed thoroughly last year. It's not my favorite game in the series, but I did enjoy it thoroughly, and I think it has a better story and tells a better story than The Last of Us. And it's this game right here, Persona 5. You know, Persona 5. This game right here tells a better story than The Last of Us does. It intertwines occult themes, metaphysical themes, and Carl Jung quantum psychological themes as well. So, and if you guys don't know who Carl Jung is, that's basically his philosophy is what this game was based off of. Jungian psychology, which is dealing with the soul, dealing with the collective unconsciousness, dealing with the world is shaped by your mind, not the other way around. So this world is only basically, the Persona 5 story is talking about how this world we live in is shaped by a collective thought. Okay? This world we live in is shaped by a collective thought. So the world doesn't shape you, you shape the world. Okay? The world is shaped, because if you look at it, the world is only but a thought. It's only but a thought in the mind of God. You see what I'm saying? So the world is shaped in collective thought. Alright? So that's basically what Persona 5 was talking about. And your hell, which is what we've seen a lot in the game, people were in hell, especially when you get to I'm not gonna spoil it, but the game had a lot of symbolism, a lot of elements showing it's showing a lot of comparisons to our world that we are in, so-called that we are in. So overall, the story is very, very interesting. A lot of mythology, a lot of demonology, a lot of occultism, stuff that you can that just expands your mind and really has you questioning reality, has you questioning yourself even. That's what Persona 5 story does. You know, it does it very well. So obviously I'm not gonna get in too much detail what Persona 5 does, but this is just a quick part one, part 2 video about The Last of Us. So maybe I might make a part 3, but I think part 1 and 2 is justified. I said what I needed to say, and I hope to get hate, but I hope to also get love from these videos. So please, if you guys do ever come across these videos in the sea of YouTube, I hope that you would actually listen to my words and appreciate what I have to say rather than just hate and just write hateful comments. You know, I'd rather you not write hateful comments and dislike, and we can have a discussion about what this game truly is, because I don't think this game is any good in the way that people say it is. So I would like to thank you if you did watch all the way to the end. I would like to thank you for watching the video, and please subscribe and like to the Strategist. I'm going to be bringing you unique gaming content, unique discussions, unique reviews like you've never seen. As soon as I could get myself together with, you know, all the gaming equipment and all the other shit, the channel will get going, you know. So please, this is the way I have to start out. Alright, so I hope you guys enjoyed that video, and I will see you next time.